Hello everyone. This week's Parsha is Parashat Bo. In this week's Parsha, the Parsha continues with the remainder of the 10 Makot. Last week's Parsha, Parashat Vayera, we read about 7 Makot, and this week's Parsha talks about the remainder of 3 Makot. So altogether, we're going to have 10 Makot. And after Paro, after the 10th Makkah, the 10th plague, Paro decides to let the Jewish people go. And he gives them freedom. He tells them that they can go. Now we know we celebrate the redemption of Pesach. Yeah, we celebrate the redemption of Mitzrayim, from Mitzrayim, on Pesach. Every single year we celebrate it. And we eat matzah, we eat maror, we eat korban Pesach when the Beit HaMikdash was around. So what's the reason that we eat matzah? So we have to look at the Haggadah. Now, when we look at the Haggadah we read every Pesach, so it brings a reasoning from Rabban Gamliel. It says, Rabban Gamliel says the reason why we eat matzah on Pesach, in order to commemorate the matzah that the Jews baked on their backs as they left Egypt. That's the reason why we eat matzah. Now, it's very interesting. It's interesting because it has nothing to do, if we think about it, it has nothing to do with the salvation. It has nothing to do with the redemption of Mitzrayim. For example, the reason why we eat maror, bitter herbs, the reason why we eat, because Jewish people's lives, when they were in Mitzrayim, it was bitter. That's why, to remember that, we eat the bitter herbs. Or, for example, Korban Pesach. The reason why there was a Korban Pesach, because it comes from because it's to remember that Hashem skipped over the homes of Jewish people on the night of Pesach. How we remember by the Makkah of firstborns, when Hashem killed the firstborns. So Hashem skipped over the houses of the firstborn of the Jewish people. So there is a significance, which means there is a connection between the redemption and the Korban Pesach and Maror. But how about matzah? What's the connection to the redemption? Because Jewish people, they came out from Mitzrayim and they held matzah, they took the matzah with them. So for that reason, they took a dough with them, and they did not have enough time. So that's it. From that day on, now we have to eat matzah. Like, what's the connection? Why is it so important? What does this has to do with the redemption? Like I said, maror has to do with the redemption. We commemorate the redemption, and Korban Pesach also, we commemorate the redemption. But how is matzah commemorating the redemption? That's the question. Now, and also, what's interesting is, why did it says here, it says in Torah that the Jews did not have enough time. Like, the question is, why didn't they have enough time? Didn't they know that they're about to be redeemed? They'll be redeemed, and they'll go on the road, and they'll be on the way out from Mitzrayim. And if they'll be out of Mitzrayim, why didn't they prepare their dough? Why didn't they prepare enough food, to go out of Mitzrayim? Like we know, every person, when they go on a trip or something, they prepare so much food. So Jews know they're about to go on a trip. They're about to leave Mitzrayim, so they should have prepared a lot of food. Why didn't the Jews prepare food? Why? So that's the question that we have to answer. Now, so maybe we can answer. So I saw the Mefarshim, they bring interesting answer that that Jewish people, when it came to Makat Bechorot, when it came to the last Makkah, when it came to the last plague, Jewish people, we could say, they probably gave up hope that they're going to come out now. For example, when Moshe came in, he said, "That's it. Hashem sent me, and Hashem's going to punish Mitzrayim." And he's telling this to Jewish people. It was all the way in the beginning, so they were all ready. So they saw that by Makat Dam, they saw the plague of the blood, which was the first plague, and the Jewish people were all ready to leave Mitzrayim, and they prepared their stuff, they prepared their luggages, they prepared everything, but the Paro said no. so they lost hope. So they said, you know what, maybe next time. So Hashem brought the next plague. Again, Jewish people, they got prepared. They said, that's it. We're about to leave. Paro said no. So Hashem had to bring another plague. So then the next plague was lice. And every time Jewish people had to be prepared, meaning they were about to prepare, and Paro said no. So what happened after each Makkah, they lost. When they reached by the last plague, Jewish people already lost that excitement. They said probably Paro was going to say no. So when they reached the Makat Bechorot, they, the last plague, when the firstborns were dying, so they already lost their hope. But then what happened in the morning after the Makat Bechorot? Paro and Moshe tells them, that's it, we're leaving Mitzrayim. The redemption finally came. So Jewish people, they were shocked. They said, so it is real. Because before we thought probably Paro was going to say no again. So they lost their excitement. And what did they do? They went right away and they prepared the dough. And they took the dough, whatever they had dough, and they prepared it, and they took out that dough. And they realized at that moment, when they heard that the redemption came, they realized one important thing, that Yeshuat Hashem kecheref ayin, which means the redemption of Hashem is quick as a blink of an eye, is quick as a blink of an eye. That's the redemption of Hashem. Redemption of Hashem comes right away, it comes fast. And this is what Jewish people realized. That the situation could look, from one side, the situation could look so bad that there's no hope, and suddenly, boom, Yeshuat Hashem kecheref ayin, and everything changes in a moment. Everything changes in a blinking of an eye. Okay, now if we look at the situation nowadays, sometimes it looks so hopeless, like especially now, we live in the generation of Corona, with the Corona and with the things that are going on in the world. So sometimes the situation can look hopeless, and we think, what's the mission of Hashem? Like, what is Hashem trying to tell us? What is Hashem? What's going on? And when will Hashem send Mashiach? When will the help come? The answer is Hashem's help is right away. It comes suddenly. Hashem's help comes it comes suddenly. It comes so fast as a blink of an eye. So now, so the matzah. So we eat matzah every Pesach. We eat matzah from generation to generation. Every Pesach we eat matzah. What's the reason? Because the matzah reminds us that Yeshuat Hashem kecheref ayin, which means that the salvation of Hashem, that Hashem's sends, He helps us. It's so quick, as fast as a blink of an eye. And how do we see from the matzah? Because when the Jewish people, they got a redemption, they did not have time to prepare food. Right away they took their dough and they took on their backs, and at the end of the day they had to eat matzah. So the matzah reminds us that this lesson, the lesson of that the salvation of Hashem, is very quick, and that's why every year we eat this matzah, just to give us this redemption, to remind us this message. And this message we have to keep always, and trust in Hashem. And we should know this that Hashem's help always comes. Sometimes we don't see it because it comes so fast. It could be so fast, and and we should just only hope and trust in Hashem, and of course Hashem will help us. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.